Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we love having authors come on, especially ones who have served our country and get to talk about greatness, the 6 keys to greatness as well. So we are joined by Sean Patton. He is author of A Warrior's Mindset, the 6 Keys to Greatness. He's a leadership and mindset coach and speaker and former U.S. Army Airborne Ranger and Special Forces Green Beret Commander. So Sean, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome today, Jeremy. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for your service to our country. Let's start there. Give us a little bit when you talk about your past, especially when you go into Special Forces and Green Beret, very cool storyline, serving in Iraq, Afghanistan, and so much more. Give us a little bit of that backstory, though, before we start talking about what you're doing now with executive coaching and mindset and the book as well. So give us a little bit of your background.
Absolutely. Yeah. So right out of high school, I was lucky enough. I went to the military academy at West Point in New York. So I did 4 years up there, got my degree, and I commissioned as an infantry officer. And that's what brought me now. I'm in Tennessee here in the Nashville area. So what brought me there was back in 2006, because my first duty station was Fort Campbell, Kentucky, which is about 45 minutes from Nashville in the 101st Airborne Division. And I served there as a rifle platoon leader and then a scout and sniper platoon leader, including 14 months in Iraq. And then decided to take the plunge and go to Special Forces selection, was lucky enough to get selected. And then after about 2 years of training, was lucky enough to come back to Fort Campbell to 5th Special Forces Group. So all of my sort of line time, if you will, was at Fort Campbell at 2 different units. And, you know, it's just, I guess what I've always tried to do is choose paths that I knew were going to lead to the greatest, but at least they had the greatest potential for growth. I think life is so short. And so I wanted to learn, and how can I have the greatest impact? And how can I grow? And there's nothing quite as intense as being 28 and being the youngest guy on your special forces team, but the commander on the Afghan-Pakistan border for a while. So a ton of lessons learned there. And that really led me to discovering that my real passion in life is leadership and problem solving. And, everybody has a part of their job, military or otherwise. It's like, there's some things you just put up with and there's some things you love about it. Right. And I was never really the gun guy or the gear guy or the team was great, mission, all that stuff, but it was always really about leading and seeing the impact of strong leadership and development of humans and then solving really tough problems. And so I knew I wanted to do that when I got out, but I didn't want to be the military officer who gets out and just, all right, CEOs, let me tell you how to run a company now, because I had no background in business. So to try to make that transition, I said, what's my plan here? What's the most intense, quickest way to learn as much as I can to get to a point where I can help leaders and organizations and businesses effectively. And I kind of came up with a 2-pronged plan when I got out, which was get a formal education in business. So I went and got my MBA from UNC Chapel Hill. And I said, well, entrepreneurship, if I can start my own company from scratch and get it self-sustainably profitable, I'll have learned the lessons, made the mistakes, gone through it, and have the credentials to be able to do that effectively. And my first business failed and I learned a bunch of hard lessons and I pivoted, started another one. And now I'm one of the co-owners and founders of Legion Jiu-Jitsu, which we do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA. We've got 4 locations in the Nashville metro area and the fastest growing team in the Southeast. And so a couple of years ago, I kind of said, all right, mission accomplished. It's time to pivot and launch Stronger Leaders, Stronger Profits, and started doing the leadership and mindset coaching.
And so give me one thing that you wish everyone knew about the Green Beret. I want to go back to that part. Just give me one thing that you wish everyone knew about that side. I think that's a cool storyline.
So I think that one thing that people don't understand about special operations sort of in general is that they sort of think of it as like a hierarchy across all of the military. It's like, well, you go and you become whatever, become a ranger, and then you come, and then or like a Marine, and then something else. But if you think about it logically for a sense, it makes no sense, right? Everybody's mission set is different. It's not the same. And there's not this just like hierarchy from top to bottom. It's linear. And what makes the Green Berets most compelling to me and what I enjoyed about it most is also their history, which is, after World War II, we had this unique capabilities with the Office of Strategic Services, where I basically did foreign intelligence work and military sort of espionage mixed with military action. And we had this sort of, as a country, we obviously have a history with trying to put a check on military power. So do we even want this capability as a country? We decided we did, but out of that, we basically split it though between civilian and military. So the civilian side became the CIA and the military side became the Green Berets. So where the Green Berets are the only special or only type of unit in all of the military, or whose primary mission is unconventional warfare. So literally US sponsored insurgents. So our job is Afghanistan is a perfect example. We went in with basically 300 Green Berets, and then we overthrew an existing government in several months, but we did it. So all the Green Berets learn foreign languages. We're all regionally aligned. And so we'll put 12 guys down, link up with 300 indigenous people, and we'll live, eat, breathe, train, and then fight alongside them, as opposed to a lot of other US military special operations that operate unilaterally with just their own team. And that makes it a very unique experience.
Yeah, very cool. That we'll save that for a whole nother podcast.
I know, we'll have to schedule another one.
Talk about the book though. What led you to write the book? Because obviously, as you mentioned, becoming an entrepreneur was a piece of the equation, learning those skill sets and transferring those out of the military as well. But what led you to write this book?
So as I started doing, business consulting and coaching at first, my passion was leadership. I didn't really see a lot of people doing it, at least well. And what I did see is a lot of people doing coaching, consulting, and I guess more hard things like sales, marketing, online advertising, design, whatever, right? And no one's going to pay me to teach about leadership. So I need to do more business. I was going to do business. And then as I started doing business, first thing I realized was, okay, no, everyone needs leadership training. And it's also the most decisive factor in every business, right? Like a great company or a great product will never grow a great company, but great leadership will. And it's basically impossible to have a hugely successful company without strong leadership. And also I started realizing that there's a huge lack in understanding, application, and investment in leadership at all levels of a company. Because it's not that quick KPI, right? Like you invest in leadership, you don't see it in your P&L the next month, but you will see it in, do you hit your aggressive 10-year goals? And so I saw leadership being an issue. And then as I switched to leadership and I started working with leaders, then I tried to go into these different leadership theories and lessons in organizational leadership and servant leadership. And the very first part of that was self-leadership. So self-leadership, this mindset piece, was a very small piece of the starter point. But as I started teaching that and working with people, I was like, even senior executives I'd work with, I'd be like, oh man, you guys aren't even ready for this. Like, I know you're 60 and you're successful, but how are you can manage a business, but you're trying to say you want to lead humans and your mindset is wrong. You're trying to lead human beings to optimize themselves, but your home life is messed up. Or you're in your own head about something else, or you don't have a real life purpose and you feel empty. So what's the point of treating you to grow a successful company if by the time it gets there, it's going to be huge and you're going to be, have a horrible home life, unfulfilled and hopeless when you're on your deathbed? Like where's the point there? And so that I said, all right, I need to spend some real time taking this self-leadership mindset piece. And I need to spend some hours to create a framework that I can teach and implement, because it is kind of this fuzzy, holistic thing. And almost all of the, I don't want to talk about and almost all sort of the self-help, self-improvement stuff. What I started seeing was, while it's great that people want to improve themselves and these different tactics and techniques and studies were awesome, but to me, they're all treating symptoms. They're all treating symptoms of human discontent. So, well, I have anxiety. Okay, well, here's some stuff to do anxiety. Well, I get nervous. Okay, let's do some mind journal. Oh, you need to meditate. Oh, you need to work out. It's just all these little things. But to me, you were giving people Tylenol for a reoccurring headache instead of being like, why are we getting headaches every week? So that it creates some real introspection and a almost meta-analysis of multidisciplinary analysis to pull together and create a framework. And so I know this is like a bold, huge project and statement, but I basically said, I'm going to create a framework that solves human discontent, that creates a framework for life where you wake up every day being like, this is awesome. And you're excited about it and you're making impact. I said, how do I do that? And so I had a bunch of the pieces, but I needed to spend some real time. And I think that's what the book forced me to do, is writing. It's like when I teach planning. Look, it's not about the plan. It's about planning. That's the value. And same thing with this book is, for me, it was personally, the value I got of it was the process of putting down all these different frameworks and being like, oh, you know what? I'm missing a piece here. Or I'm arguing this thing, but it's really just my opinion at this point. Am I right or wrong? Let me research. So, I mean, we've got stuff in here in that book that I proof using philosophy from Epictetus and Socrates. I'm reading, I've got stuff about quantum mechanics, got stuff about existentialism. I've got stuff about Laplace's demon and free will and determination. And I was just like, let's shove this and let's just make every subchapter be so hard hitting and so concise that you can walk through a complete framework. And that's what I came up with the 6 keys to greatness.
Yeah. And so the book again is A Warrior's Mindset, the 6 keys to greatness. Give us a teaser on one of the keys. You don't have to dive too far into it, but give us a teaser on one of the keys.
Okay. I won't go too much in this. I'll tell you the first one is perspective and gratitude. And that's so huge. And I think that's something that people give a lot of lip service to, but I'll tell you the biggest thing is creating a actionable framework and scientific backing behind how to do that. I think that's really important. But I think the one that'll be most interesting, maybe sort of by itself, would be this concept. The third one is the North Star theory, which is creating a purpose for your life. And I feel like this is something, again, gets a lot of sort of fuzzy lip service too, that people almost like can't tackle or can't put an objective framework down for that is universal. And so that's what I tried to do, which sounds crazy. But what I think people mess up is they confuse goals and purpose. And so there's so many people that they say, well, my purpose is I'm going to grow this big company so I can take care of my family, which is great, and I'm going to, and then I'm going to retire and I'm going to have a lot of money. And then they get that big house and they're like, awesome. I'm still not happy. Oh, I made $1 million, still not happy. And there's all these people who if you set here's what I found is the fundamental flaw, is that the modern world pushes us to think that in terms of individual selfish gratification, and that selfish gratification, they try to sell us as contentment, and it's not. And it's actually impossible for a normal functioning, healthy person for that to be the case. And so what I did is basically went back into evolutionary biology, and what I found was my North Star theory, which is that every living creature is its most happy, content, and fulfilled when its activities and environment align with its genetic purpose. So if you start with that, then you say, that's the reason that like my Labrador will run and chase and bring the ball back, and she'll do it until she literally falls over and she's in pure ecstasy the whole time. Well, why is that? That seems crazy. It's because that's what she's designed to do. Selectively, we bred it to her cellular level. She's designed to go get a ball and bring it back. And that's her purpose as a living organism. And when she gets to do it, she feels awesome. So I started thinking like, well, what's our ball as human beings? Like, where's my ball, right? Like, how come is this out of reach for me? And so what I did was then say, well, we're social creatures, right? Like if you put a human being by itself, it literally deteriorates and dies. So what it tells you is that we're a social organism. And so our purpose that leads to fulfillment and contentment can't be about me. And it has to be about impacting others. That's the reason we get release of these reward system chemicals when we go help other people. When we make an impact, when someone says that really helped me, that was a great reward. Is there anything better than as a leader or a business owner when someone comes like, you changed my life? There's no other feeling like that, right? Or a child saying, I love you so much, whatever. So I came up with a framework that basically is values. Define what your true values are. Because everyone's reality is different, and not wrong, different. So, I believe everyone should treat people the way they want to be treated, the golden rule. Or I believe humans should live in harmony with nature and the earth, whatever that is, right? And so I challenge people to write out at least 5 things that they see as absolute truths in the world. Then create your worldview. That's tough to do. What's the framework for creating a worldview? So I went back to business. And what do we do in business? We do SWOT assessments. So I say, look at the world around you, your community, at whatever level you want to. For some people, they're going to think globally. For some people, they're going to think about their family. Some people are going to think about their community or church or business, whatever. Whatever the world is to you, and what are its strengths, what are its weaknesses, what opportunities are there to improve, and what are the threats, the things that you value. And then you can combine and overlap your values of the way you think the world should be with your assessment of where we are now. And then you create an action plan based on what you're passionate about, what you want to do with your life, how you can address one of those things. And then you create an action plan for it. And there's your North Star. Now you can go get to work.
Yeah, I love the idea of using a SWOT analysis on your values and where we are and where we are, where you want to go. So that's awesome. Talk about on your end, the coaching side of what you do, because you do leadership coaching. You have all sorts of kind of seminars and workshops and virtual experiences. You also do a ton of keynote speaking. So talk about that side of your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually just, because I started running into this, oh my gosh, I can't be everywhere all the time, right? So I just created a small group coaching called Stronger Leaders Society. And it's entrepreneurs, business owners, and just really business leaders or organizational leaders. And we focus on leadership concepts, mindset, so self-leadership, and then also best business practice. And so actually I just launched that this week. And so that's I'm so excited about that. I think that's going to be really, really great. And we hold each other accountable, and it's just a great group to network with. And we're going to do twice a week live coaching sessions. I'm going to pull experts in, say, I'm going to go to the group. What do you need? And they say, well, I need to learn more about social media marketing. Cool. I'll go find, and then we can basically do a live podcast and training where you get to Q&A these subject matter experts along with me. So I do that. And then I also, for companies and organizations that are really looking, I tell them, it's like, are you looking to pivot and change, make a shift in your leadership culture? And if you're a company that wants to make a shift in its leadership culture from management to leadership, then I have an elite leadership workshop I do that sometimes I can do in virtually, I can do in person. And we sort of cover this self-leadership, servant leadership, organizational leadership, and strategic planning. And it gives the executives and the, whoever comes, whoever you want in your leadership team, it gets them, everyone speaking the same language and on the same principles. So you can have these types of conversations that are deep and meaningful and drive forward organizational and structural improvement with leadership.
We'll wrap up and talk about website, social media. Where do we go to follow your efforts, and also to buy the book?
Awesome. Yeah. So the book's on Amazon. It's Aware's Mindset, 6 Keys to Greatness. And the website, if you want more information on all the services, what I'm up to, it's Stronger Leaders, strongerprofits.com. And then I'm on Instagram as Sean Patton Presents, Sean Patton, SeanPatton on Facebook and on LinkedIn.
You make it very, very easy. Well, I love everything you're doing, and we'll definitely have to have you come back on the Changemakers podcast where we can do a deeper dive. But Sean, thank you for everything you do and for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jeremy. It was awesome talking with you.